Obviously, we're extremely excited about where things are going. I think when you look at where we've been this summer and the spring, moving forward to where we are now, I think we're very, very pleased to talk about the things that never used to matter in the past couple of years matter again. And small things like the mile time, not missing your laps, not missing your times, all the things that made us become who we were, getting in great shape, being prepared as a team before we even touch the floor physically. I think those things are back, and I think you'll be able to tell that right away, just from how we'll be able to guard, how we'll be able to get up after people, and how we'll be able to transition. Obviously, we brought in the new guys, 8 new guys with the 5 returners. As a staff, you know, in March, in late April, and into May, we were thinking, we were hopeful that the 5 returning guys can change the 8 guys coming in, and the 9 obviously would add Courtney Golf as a walk-on. But our new guys changed our returning guys, and that's something that we didn't expect. Meaning, we're back to playing every day. Meaning, we really worked very hard in the off season. Guys pushing themselves. The new guys having tremendous success in the classroom in the summer. Those things needed to be changed, and our new guys brought that change, and that's something that we're very, very excited about, because we needed that, and that was obvious to us, the staff, and we needed to change how we presented ourselves on the court, in the way we played, the manner we played, and how hard we played. I think those issues have all been addressed. And when you look at us as individuals coming back, give you a rundown on everybody. It obviously starts with Mamadou Set. Mamadou weighed 190 pounds last year, played at that weight, fluctuated a little bit. Now he's 220. And him understanding where he needed to go, because we saw him have unbelievable games rebounding the basketball, and in the end he kind of got tired. And physically, he carried a lot of load. He guarded a lot of bigger guys, a lot of different guys. We had to play Mamadou all over the floor, from 1 to 4, and even 5 sometimes defensively. So we think we have a position that we can lock him in and just say, hey, play that only. And I think you're going to see him have a lot more success, because he won't be wondering whether or not I'm a guard, I'm a forward, I'm an inside guy every time down the floor on offense and defense. So Mamadou has had tremendous strides physically this summer, and then that's exciting. That's exciting for us, because when your best guy works at a high level, everybody else falls in line, and he's done that. You know, moving on to Justin Bocott. Justin had a great summer. He had a great summer in China when he went with the team, with several Big Ten guys and guys from different leagues. He handled the ball a lot more, which made him more valuable to us, because now he started to play with a level of confidence. He had no injuries this summer, which was great. Both ankles were fine, knees, everything that he struggled with from the mid to late season physically was gone. And I think that's why he played extremely well with those guys, and he's carried that over into the summer and right now into the fall with conditioning. And those 2 guys are our captains. Those 2 guys are going to be our focus, and I think that they relish that. And I think Justin's matured enough now to understand when he comes out of the game, he's going back in. And I think that's, you know, sometimes kids don't understand why they're coming out, and I think he was one of those kids that most of the time it was because, you know, either you were tired or you needed a break. And I think him learning and understanding that good teams, you know, the best guys got to understand how to show the other guys how to function in the program. I think he's completely bought into that and totally understands that now. Diamond Taylor. Diamond is still suspended. You know, he's taking care of everything he's needed to do as far as with the law, and everything with that is up to speed. But just the social discipline itself, as regards to me, he's still suspended. He's still doing things, and yes, he will miss games. He will. As far as how many, we don't know, but that's up to him. And as he continues to progress, like he has, then it will be shorter than what we anticipate. So, as far as him, if you see him when you come there, you'll definitely see a different look at him. His body is grown from the time he's been here. He had a great summer. He's had a good fall, and him moving forward, his maturity level has to catch up with his game. And once you see that happen, he can score. And I think that's what we're going to see more. Last year, he really did a great job defending. I think you're going to see him score more this year, just because he's going to be comfortable and have a good understanding of what we need from him. There's, just to address the other rumors as far as guys being ineligible, Devontae Drinker was redshirting last March, and that was something that he'll be able to relay that to you. After March, we decided to redshirt him the same way we did with Brad Korn. Brad Korn redshirted as a sophomore because we felt Devontae needed to catch up socially, athletically, and academically, and those were the things we decided to do with him. And that's something that we said all along, that he needed the redshirt. But unfortunately for us last year, he didn't. He wasn't able to. And what we brought in, two of the guys already basically redshirted, and the two prep school kids, and we expect them to contribute along with Treg and Dan Teal. But Devontae has grown a lot, but he still has to grow some more athletically. And he's a guy who didn't play his whole senior year because he had a broken foot, and then asking him to play as a freshman for us was unfair. He was not ready, and I think it showed in his play, and it showed in his maturity level that he needed to really redshirt last year, but we couldn't afford to. But at this point, we definitely decided to do that once we finished playing last year to redshirt him. As far as Kendall Brown is concerned, he's definitely got to concentrate on academics. Whether he's ineligible or not is not the question. The question is, how can we help him? I think the number one thing when you're dealing with kids who have diagnosed problems, you have to be very careful and how you address it and what you can talk about because of privacy acts as regards to student athletes. But right now, he's definitely concentrating on his academic side of getting better. And that does not mean he's dumb. That does not mean he didn't do what he's supposed to do. That means he has an issue. Not even an issue. And he may address it later whenever you have a chance to talk to him. That's something that he said he wanted to discuss, so he'll be able to discuss that with you on his own terms. So moving forward to the guys that the new guys, and I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of people are excited about is being able to see whether or not these new guys can help us get back to where we need to be. And from the moment they've been here, they've taken our program back to a level of intensity. And that meaning that if you watched us play this summer, you watched us play in pickup games, probably the first person of the new guys you'll notice is Jeff Early. I mean, he's kind of crazy how he plays. He's unorthodox, but he plays very, very hard. And he's a gravitating guy, meaning that people like to play with him, they like to be around him, because he doesn't take plays off. He's extremely athletic. Everywhere he's been, he's won big. And he's the type of kid that our culture rallies around. And so we're excited about him. After getting him late, it shows the power of this building. It shows the power of what we built in the past. Because all these 8 guys didn't come because of last year. They came because of the past and what we have here in the 5 guys returning. So I think that's the biggest thing we can talk about with those guys. Next, TJ played with Jeff, and you look at his stats and they don't stand out at you. But when you watch him play, what will stand out is that he's extremely fast, and he can get the ball to different spots, and he can get the ball to different people. And I think that's the biggest thing we saw. You in 60 games, over 60 games in 2 years, and you're a main cog in everything they're doing. We had to get back to a point guard that really put winning above everything and didn't need to have the want and desire to score every time. But we needed a facilitator, we needed a big defender, and he's long, he's athletic at 6'3", and he can really push the basketball. So we're looking forward to seeing him also. And then you move forward to Desmar Jackson, who's a transfer from Wyoming, and whether he's eligible or not, we have no idea. It's not in our hands. That is in the NCAA's hands, with the waiver process that's ongoing. So, but what I can tell you is that he can score on different types of people. He can score inside, he can score outside, he can post up, he can score off the bounce, he can score in transition. He's extremely athletic at the same time at 6'5", 6'6". So his ability to score the basketball is something we definitely needed in our guard position. We understood our weaknesses. We know that when you put it together a basketball team, not having a guard in double-figure scorings last year was extremely disappointing. So now that was what we wanted to do was go get guys who could make plays, not just score baskets. And I think those 3 guys that I just talked about, they can make plays. along with Desmar being a high-end basket maker. And then moving on to our freshmen, we'll start with the first one we got, who's probably one of the most charismatic people we've had in a while, and that's Treg Setti. And you'll understand what I mean once you meet him and talk to him and visit with him. He was 6'5" when he committed. He's 6'9" now, and we still don't really know what he can do because we haven't practiced, we haven't spent enough time with him. But the one thing he does do is work very hard, and it's very important to him that we're happy with his play. And I think that's the most important thing we've learned about our 5 freshmen. They're all pleasers. They want us to be happy. They don't want to let us down. And Treg is probably the most emotional out of all of them as far as not wanting to disappoint the coaches in his play. So he can shoot threes, he can dribble it. He'll have to rebound at a higher clip than what he's had because his body's gone from a guard to a big forward now. So he'll have to change some of the things he's used to doing. He can't float always all the time on the perimeter. He'll have to do some stuff and mix it up just because of his length. And then moving forward, you talk about Tony Breyer. Tony Breyer is just really long. And the thing that sticks out the most is how quick he can get off the floor and his length. His wingspan, his extremely long wingspan, close to 7 foot. He's played a redshirt year basically at prep school. They played a bunch of games, and looking forward with him, he's going to be a multiple position guy, kind of like Treg, because Tony can do some stuff inside, he can do some stuff outside, he can bounce it a little bit. But what he really has in his favor, he's got a high IQ. He's a basketball player, and he understands how to fit in. If I need to do this today, I'll do that today. If I need to do something else, he'll do that. And I think that's where his niche early on will really be with us. Harry Witt is a young man who, and these two guys nobody knows about except for probably us who've seen them with Harry and Tony. Harry is a highly skilled 6'11" kid who, again, has a big IQ too. He has to understand how to play. He can shoot threes. And whether he shoots them well, that's kind of depending on how many he makes. But he can really make 15-footers. 15 and in, he's really good. He's got both hands around him, and he's out of the freshmen. He's probably the meanest out of all of them as far as when things don't go his way. He's going to try to make them go his way, and we like that about him. That he has a little nasty streak in him, and wants to use his will to overpower people. And you see him physically, he can't overpower anybody yet, but he thinks he can, and that's a good sign, meaning he's not afraid to mix it up and get some things done on the inside for us. Then you look at Josh Swan, and Josh, he's an extremely polished young man. And I think when you meet him and really get a chance to know him, you'll recognize this guy's been raised the right way. And understanding, he scored a bunch of points in high school. And from the time he got here to now, he's grown by leaps and bounds because all he did was score the basketball for his high school team. Now we need him to do other stuff. And he really struggled if he couldn't make baskets. Now I think he's learned that it's more than just making a shot or making a play. It's being a well-rounded basketball player. And he's, out of all the freshmen, he's probably grown the most since he's been here. And we're really pleased with his work ethic and how he's learned to develop to do different things and not be able to pigeonhole him into saying you're just this or you're just that. So Josh has really done a good job. Then last, Daniels. Teal is an old school warrior. I mean, he's a kid that when we're on the recruiting circuit, everybody always asks in our class, that's the kid everybody asks about because, he's that type of kid that so many people who we played against are used to seeing us have. And they all say, he's going to be good for you guys. He is going to be good for you guys. He's like, those guys used to have. He's undersized. He's barely 6'6", but he's 225, and he's a rock. And the first thing you'll notice is he's explosive off the ground. I think that he'll give us a different dimension. I'm kind of having a junkyard dog again around the rim where he can finish tough plays over bigger people. And he's a type of kid that if he doesn't play up to his own terms or the way he feels he should be playing, he really gets down on himself. And that's a good sign because he knows every day he has a chance to get better. And I think that's where he's grown a lot as far as our individual workouts and doing stuff right, trying to develop more of a game instead of being just a power guy go dump on people. And I think that's where his game has to progress into being able to make shots from around the perimeter, a little bit 15 and in. And then last, we have Courtney Gobb, who's a walk-on with us. Courtney came to us late from Olive Harvey in Chicago. He's out of New York. He's been a pleasant surprise for us because he's come in right away and blended into the Forburn youth stuff. He's tough, he's physical, he plays hard, he's a grinder, he's a great student. I mean, all the things that we want in a guy who we don't scholarship, Courtney is definitely that person because he's a workaholic, he wants to be around, he's fit in unbelievably well with our guys and our coaching staff. So, did I miss anybody? No? Did I get everybody? I think I got everybody. Our coaching staff obviously went through some transition too. Now obviously having Brad Corn still with me, who's a player and is a direct link to the championships and the winning and the blood, sweat, and tears of actually doing it. Being back is very important, and especially on his end. He's got a bunch of babies on his end that have to grow up pretty quick. So that's important. So he understands the job he has to do with those guys. They better get good in a hurry. I think that if they do that, like I think they will, because they're good listeners and Mamadou Sek's a great teacher. So I think they'll definitely help us progress, along with Matt McCumber being on the big guy end with Coach Corn. On the guard end will be the two newest guys. One kind of new and then one definitely new. Anthony Stewart obviously came from Wyoming with us. Learning what we do sometimes is a shock to other people who've never been around it, and to see how much we ask of our student athletes. Sometimes it's different from where other people have gone. I'm extremely demanding. I want them to do things right all the time. And I think that's some of the biggest things that he's had to learn how to recruit for me. And that's the biggest thing. And obviously, who we got will be a direct reflection. And TJ, Jeff, and Dez be a reflection of that, because I think that those guys are throwback, play hard, blue collar, especially Jeff is definitely what we needed. We needed a shot in the arm as far as toughness on the guard end. He definitely gives us that. And obviously, he's got his MBA. He's worked in the business world. He understands how to really talk to people. I think that's good for your system to be able to go into a different crowd and talk to different people differently and have them understand you and what we're doing and be able to sell the Kool-Aid. And that's important. That's important. And then last, Coach Smith coached me. He's been to my home. He's been, Coach was the way I describe Coach. And I mean, if you ask Trey how he feels about Coach Smith, and it'll kind of be, Coach Smith was a guy as a player we never wanted to let him down. Whenever you have a coach that treats you right in every experience that you've ever dealt with, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, and shows you how to handle it the right way, you want to do right by him, and that's the kind of person Coach is. And I'm extremely happy with where our staff is. We've grown, we've matured, we have a lot of fun together. I think that's the key with us. We really have blended and done well with each other. Sometimes that's more important than the actual product on the floor. And these guys have done a great job getting to know me. Coach really only knew me as a player, and obviously as somebody I talk to as a mentor. It's kind of weird saying I'm his boss, but I still call him Coach, so it's hard for me to call him Ron or anybody else. But I think those things are important. But I really feel good about our staff, where they are, who we're able to touch and reach, and recruiting has definitely gotten better, and those are keys too, because once you reach outside our own little area where we concentrate on, a lot of people know who we are and respect the job we've done, and understand what it means to be a basketball player here. We didn't just start winning. It's been a long time of winning, terms of success with different coaches and people in different areas know those eras in Saluki basketball, and that's what's made this past from spring till now recruiting pretty special, because we've reached out and touched some people we haven't touched before.
Go ahead and take questions.
Yeah, I was intrigued by your description of Jeff Early's approach as being unorthodox. What do you mean by that?
Well, sometimes Jeff does things in a way like Lamar Owens did them, and sometimes Lamar didn't look the prettiest, but the results were always extremely positive. And sometimes Jeff looks like he might fall down, and then the next step he's dunking the basketball. You know, he's just one of those players that gets stuff done, and you ask yourself, how did he do that? You know, how did he even get to that point to have success on that play? And he's a natural athlete, and that's probably the biggest thing that's his advantage.
Coach, with all the newcomers, you know, what goals have you set as a team this year, and how do you measure progress, you know, with you guys?
The biggest thing is that in June, I laid out the first 16 days of practice before we played our first game. As of yesterday, we had to tear it up because we were ahead of where we needed to be. And that's a direct reflection of them, not me. They've been able to grasp everything at a quicker rate, and us to be able to give them stuff and to do it ASAP. You know, not now, but right now. And that's the approach we've had with them, and that's why it was easy to say, you know, we did practice a couple days ago. We don't need to work on that. We're already past that. We don't need to start off practice with that. We're already past that. And it's because, you know, how hard they've worked, where they've been mentally, and when you're able to teach somebody who's a willing learner, it's really easy for them to get stuff fast and move on to the next thing.
Will we see any noticeable differences on the court this year?
Definitely. I mean, come watch us play. That's all I can say. I mean, I'm not going to predict anything, make any promises. Come watch us play, and that's the number one thing that people will learn about who these guys are, and that's, you know, how we made the approach with them.
For you guys as a coaching staff, you know, what did you guys do as a coaching staff over the summer, maybe that was different than in years past, or, you know, how have you yourself kind of transformed, or maybe trying a different approach?
I didn't try anything different. We just did what we needed to do. I think the biggest thing is that everybody has something that they were asked to do, and they did it. And when you have good progress, anytime you have adversity and you move forward, it has to be positive. I think the biggest thing is Coach Smith saying every day, there's no bad days. Every single day, there's no bad days. Despite the storms, despite what was being written at the time, we didn't have bad days. You know, we moved forward. We got the guys to do what we needed to do, and in recruiting, who we wanted, we got them. And that was the key too. Not only because at the time we were recruiting, a lot of negative things were swirling around here, and our competitors were using that against us from our own outlets. So for us to be able to convince somebody's parents to send them here was important, and that's because of the sell of those guys. You know, those guys saying, hey, you know, it's not like what it seems. Come here and see for yourself. And when they came and they saw what this building was like, and they saw the atmosphere from our athletic department, then it was different for them to recognize, okay, we want to get this thing back to where it was. And that's what you'll hear those kids say.
With the Kendall situation, it was a little ambiguous. I mean, is there a possibility he could miss time the first semester here?
Yeah, there is. But there's also a possibility that he can't, that he won't. But like I said, it's not for me to talk about. You know, that's obviously something that has to be addressed somewhere else.
Is there a time point where you guys will know for sure? Or?
Oh yeah, definitely. It'll definitely come out, I think, by November 1. So.
Because you talked about your guard not having double figure first time in a long time. Who do you think is the most likely to fill that this year?
I think that all of them could get double figures in the game. And I think, looking back, we didn't know who could do that last year. And I think for different reasons, different guys bring different things to our team. When you look at if you look at a speed level, TJ can get a lot of stuff done in transition from a speed standpoint. Jeff is just going to find ways to get stuff done. Diamond's going to be an improved scorer because of the fact, you know, when you sit out a year and a half, that it kind of screwed with him. And the only thing that he really was good at was kind of defending and rebounding, which he had never done in his life. And you know, now you're going to see him, you know, be good on or better on both sides of the ball. Justin Bocot's going to have a good senior year. You know, and I think that, you know, him being a senior, this is his 5th year, he understands what we need from him. You know, so I just looking at, and Kendall obviously has a chance to do that same with a comfort level too.
Besides Mamadou, are any of the starting spots cemented right now, or are they all up for grabs besides Mamadou's position?
No, Mamadou will tell yourself he's not starting. He's going to earn it. I mean, if you don't want him to get mad at you, don't ask him that. But the Mamadou's thing is, I'm like everybody else, but I'm going to work hard, and that's his approach. You know, he's a humble guy, but he's also a passionate guy. You know, and that's what makes him what he is. He's a good player. He's a hard-nosed player. How he plays is going to be how we play.
But as for the other 4 spots,
I mean, who knows? I mean, you never know. Even on our good teams, we changed our lineups just because you don't know sometimes injuries. You don't know who's going to start, or you don't know who's going to get better, or you don't know who's going to react to coaching live. We don't have very much, so we don't. It's hard to say. What we can say is it's a 360 as far as your effort and how hard we work. That's what we can say.
do you feel like, I mean, do the players and does the team this year, do they feel a pressure to win this year?
No, I think you should ask them that. I think they want to be good. So I don't think there's a pressure there. We have all those new guys coming in saying the same thing. When you recruit people a certain way and you show them what it used to be like, and they're amazed, they're like, man, I want to get it. Let's get it back to that way. So I think that's, they don't have any pressure when you talk about, and you show them film of how hard we played as opposed to how hard we haven't played. It's some of us recruiting, some of us not. We've had some really talented players leave here that couldn't do the stuff that made us champions. So these guys are willing to do the stuff that's made us champions so far.
Do you guys as a coaching staff feel any pressure to win this year?
I mean, there's pressure to win every year. So yeah, I mean, just like when you're good, I mean, there's pressures that are different. I don't think it's pressure. I think I'm a little upset. I'm more upset than there's pressure because understanding that I know, what the staff can do, what I can do, and in anything, we want it to be valued. So, definitely, we want to win.
Coach, do you think it's more important maybe in years past to get off to a good start to keep the support of the fans and maybe regain some of the ones you guys perhaps have lost with all the stuff that's gone on in the past couple of years?
I think it's definitely, that's why we're saying come watch us. And that's all we'll say about it. Come watch us and then decide from there. Because you'll see, the effort immediately. And it won't be fake, and it won't be for one game, and it won't be when you're feeling good. And that's the thing. We haven't had anybody miss. Basically everybody's been at everything they're supposed to be at in conditioning with no injuries, no misses, no excuses. So that's a good sign. That's a sign where we can build on everything. And I'm sure not everybody's felt good every day, not everybody's been healthy every day, but they've done the work. So come see.
Is there a certain thing that excites you most about this group and getting ready to start the season with practice on Saturday?
That they're doing what we ask them. I mean, that's the most exciting thing that I talk to the coaches is, like, man, we just got through conditioning without talking to a parent. We just got through conditioning without begging somebody to get through it. I mean, those things are prevalent in the society today, but this group has been fantastic as far as that's concerned. So we're excited about getting them on the floor because we think we can coach it without holding back.
How was team chemistry this been from this year compared to the years past?
And if you just watch them, you can tell. I mean, those are questions that you can ask them because I think it's better coming from them than it is from me. Like I said, I haven't spent a lot of time with them because of rules and stuff. When they're together, they're laughing. That's all I know. So that's a good sign.
You mentioned Brown Surleys and Lindsay as point guards. Is there anybody else that you can use, like Swan, as far as handling the ball?
You'll see Mamadou handle it because he can. Mamadou, I think that's something we should have done earlier, but we needed him to do a lot of other different
so
things too.
So is the headline Mamadou Seck plays point guard for you?
No, I think Mamadou's going to handle it more because he can.
So it's like when you had Brooks and them, you really didn't have a point guard. Everybody sat up.
Yeah, I think we wanted to get back to that way because then we could really attack different ways, offensively and defensively, without saying he's this, he's that. Everybody be good at what we do, and then good things will happen.